Christ. I now recognize Mr. Gonzalez for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Ranking Member Marshall, for holding the hearing today. Also want to thank the witnesses for being here. I know it takes a lot of prep and can be stressful, so I appreciate your participation. I do believe climate change is real and global industrial development has been a contributing factor. But I also believe that the proposals that we've seen in the Green New Deal, quite frankly, would devastate my community. I'm from Northeast Ohio. Think steel country, a lot of manufacturing, a lot of agriculture, these kind of energy-intensive businesses, if you will. And the proposals being presented would raise our energy costs to such a level that I can't help but think that our citizens, my constituents, would be making trade-offs between things like fueling up their car or putting food on the table. And I think that is just fundamentally unsustainable. That makes no sense. But again, problem's real. And I'm committed to finding a broad basket of market solutions to tackle the challenges of the present and future. What I believe is that we need to focus on technologies that are going to make consumers and industry essentially neutral when it comes to the energy source. And the only way we can do that is by making our energy sources affordable and reliable. We ignore the reliability part too often, but the Green New Deal and all those proposals kind of ignore it, and I think that's wrong. So I believe we need to focus on technology solutions that we can export abroad that are going to make energy cheap and reliable, bottom line. And so I represent, as I mentioned, a non-coastal district located in Northeast Ohio. We don't have an ocean reef or coastal beaches. So my first question will go to Dr. Frazier or anyone on the panel. But you know, when I'm educating my constituents on why this challenge, specifically the one we're here to address today, affects them, what would you say for somebody from my district?
Well, I'm again going to speak about fisheries, right? And
Yep.
People tend to think of fisheries as being a coastal resource, but those fisheries products are serve the nation in its entirety, right? There's a supply chain there. There's businesses, retailers, wholesalers, restaurants, and I'm pretty sure that in Ohio people eat lots of seafood. And so, again, it's something it's not just a natural resource issue, right? It's a food security issue as well, right? So that's why you should care.
We have the best walleye in the world, by the way.
Yeah, excellent.
So again, Dr. Frazier, yeah, we have Lake Erie. So again, Dr. Frazier, you discussed the importance of long-term investment in science and state good science can take a while to come to fruition. And again, that's kind of where I think we need to be headed, is technological innovation that's going to bring costs down and reliability up. In this instance, how do you suggest we as Congress differentiate between good science and bad science, and how do we make sure the science is robust enough?
I think that Congress, let me step back a minute. I'd say that we have organizations in the United States, the National Science Foundation, for example, and NOAA, that are in the business of evaluating science in a peer review process. I think you should depend on that. The priorities can be established elsewhere, and they certainly involve trade-offs. And I think that's something that's best in the hands of the policymakers.
Okay. And then and this is for anybody, if anybody wants to jump in, where are we seeing the most promise from a technological standpoint? Where's the research saying, hey, you know, if we could double down on this set of activities, I think we could really make some headway? Anybody, feel free.
One way in which I think, and I spoke to it earlier in Mr. Marshall's question, is in looking at how animals respond and what traits they carry that can be more resistant to some of the stressors that they are experiencing. As things are changing, we need to better understand that element of the animals and what interactions that they have, and perhaps growing shellfish with eelgrass is something that's been happening for a long time and is a symbiotic relationship for both of those. species. But as I mentioned earlier, cattle and grain, they've looked at how animals can using those families and the genetic makeup that exists within those animals, how it can further them along. And shellfish is fairly new, and other fisheries are fairly new in that regard, and could benefit greatly from that. And the Animal Research Service under the USDA is the most appropriate and would be a fabulous place to invest some
Great.
funds.
Thank you, and I yield back.